Hey, Salvador Briggman here, and today I want to go through the Kickstarter marketplace a little bit and understand how the website works. So you might find this to be super boring. Like if you're a creator or you're a backer and you're like, hey, just give me my money, just go tell me how to launch a project, right? I outlined that step by step in the Kickstarter launch formula. You can grab a copy of that Audible book or that physical copy on Amazon, the Kickstarter launch formula. Today's video is more for you if you want to understand more deeply and really get behind the curtain when it comes to understanding the Kickstarter website. That's what I'm going into today. Okay, so let's hop right to it, right? When it comes to Kickstarter, a lot of people will notice projects on a few different sources. Number one is if they're signed up to the Kickstarter newsletter, if they're browsing on Facebook, they get an ad, if they're going around the web and they have someone cool that shared it that they follow already, right? But also people will come to the actual Kickstarter website and will see and get a sense of some of the cool stuff that's happening. So I want to go through this is like an introduction to the website. And this is a little bit from a backer standpoint, but also I think from a creator standpoint, because it's important to understand how it works, right? So first of all, the first things you notice are the featured project here, right? This is a little bit, I'd say, human interaction when it comes to getting to be a part of the featured project. So there is a team that works at Kickstarter. Based on my last calculation, they probably have around 100 people, I'd say, that works at Kickstarter, the actual corporation, the public benefit corporation, housed in Brooklyn. I know they went through, I think, like a few different stages of the company, but it's around 100 people, we'll just say. They also see recommended for you, right? So this is when you're signed in. So you can see some of the stuff, the projects that are recommended for you based on your browsing history. You can see you can save these, remind them, etc. So some people, when they come to the dashboard, are immediately going to see the ones that are featured or the ones that are recommended for them. As they scroll down, you can see some of the new fresh campaigns. And this is why a lot of the projects that first launch will end up getting a bunch of funding from the Kickstarter marketplace is because they're appearing here, right? And people are seeing, oh, wow, look at these new campaigns that have been launched, right? So this is going to be something, I'm actually going to bookmark that because I want to read that a little bit later. But you can also see some of the campaigns that are taking off, right? So as someone's scrolling down, they're going, okay, cool, interesting projects. Taking off basically means it's getting more and more funding, and it's really beginning to, I'd say, tick the boxes of what ranks well on Kickstarter, which is acceleration. A lot of people think like it's just about funding or it's just about hitting a goal. It's really about the velocity of pledges. I have a great video out there on YouTube talking about how the Kickstarter algorithm works. I'd recommend watching that, but it's about the velocity of pledges, right? Then also, there are ones in the home stretch. Now, this is also the reason why a lot of these campaigns will get funded towards the end of a campaign, right? You have the uptick, the classic Kickstarter uptick towards the end of a project typically. And that usually comes as people see what are the campaigns that are being ended. Like they're describing the ones that are relevant to you as well, but this is a big one, I think, responsible for the uptick. So this could be ones that are near you. I think my location is put in Brooklyn, New York. So these are some of the different projects that are around me. And then finally some more ones to explore. These are more stories, right? And this at the very bottom, they begin to finally get into a little bit of the creativity and a little bit more of like how to actually go about creating a project on Kickstarter. They have this other magazine, online magazine, whatever you want to call it, the Creative Independent, right? So this is actually kind of interesting if you're into more of the creative nature. Maybe you're doing like a film project or you're doing a tabletop or I guess more of like an artwork project, a music project. This is the Creative Independent. And it's kind of interesting. You can learn a little bit about this if you want to on your own time. And then finally, there are success stories, people who have gone through the project, right? And then they also, I'm talking a little bit about Black Lives Matter. So I'm not going to comment on that one or the political sentiments there. But basically, the other thing I want to draw your attention to when it comes to Kickstarter itself is the way in which these categories are sorted, right? So projects we love is one of the things that a lot of people are seeking when it comes to getting the attention of the Kickstarter staff itself, because projects we love is a default sort feature, right, on Kickstarter, which means that people who just aren't even searching, right, they're going to immediately get and see the top projects that we love as well as some of these other ones. So it's kind of like a variable, right? It's a variable that contributes to how well you rank on Kickstarter. However, it's not a guarantee. It doesn't mean just because you're a project we love that you instantly get tons and tons of funding, right? There are obviously some of these projects that are still a little bit struggling here. Like this one is 1,000, maybe about halfway to go with this one, right? So it's not a guarantee by any means. What I like to do is I like to go through all the different filters here And you can see live projects, amount pledged, goal, percentage raised. For someone who's just a Kickstarter backer, a bread and butter kind of person who's just like popping on here throughout their workday, and they're like, oh, this looks kind of cool. Look at this. This is a magnetic fort pillow, right? This looks kind of interesting. I want to go through here and just go through the user flow so you have a sense as a creator how this is going to work. So people are going to come here and like, wow, this is a magnetic fort pillow fort, which is kind of cool. They're going to watch the video. This one's already raised $2.84 million for this campaign, right? So they're going to watch the video. They're going to get a sense from the campaign page after they watch the video, go a little bit into there. They might learn a little bit about Connor and some of the other projects that he's created in the past, right? And then they're going to say, okay, I either want to get reminded by this, and that's when someone decides to follow your project. So they're not fully sold, but they're like, I want to see where this is going. That would be a remind me. Or they're just going to decide to outright back this. Now, when someone decides to back it, they're going to be taken to the screen where they can, number one, lock in their pledge. So we're just going to do a pledge without rewards just so I can show you guys how this works. This YouTube video is sponsored by The Gadget Flow. The Gadget Flow reaches over 28 million people, and they've been around since 2012. They're Indiegogo and Kickstarter experts. They featured over 5,000 crowdfunding campaigns. If you have a tech or design campaign, it is a great platform to generate awareness and get backers. Check them out at thegadgetflow.com/submit and list your project today. And then they're going to go through the add-ons process. We're just going to pledge $1 just so you guys can see here, right? It's going to go through the add-on process, which is when you can add on any different elements to your pledge. For this campaign, doesn't look like there are any add-ons here. Let's go through there, go through that process. We're just supporting the project. It's not going to be your card is not going to be charged at this time. Okay, so then it becomes backed, right? Now, this is kind of when the next discovery phase happens, because let's just say someone backs the project. Now they're going to be introduced to some of the other trending Kickstarter projects. Now, this is kind of a dual thing, right? Because in some cases, we've seen this Coral Island one recommended a few times, and this Primal Awakening one. Sometimes this is going to be great, right? And it can lead to more backing and stuff like that. Other times, you might have a competitor, actually. You might have a competitor who is running a campaign beside you, right? So maybe one that's related to you or in a similar category. This I find to be a very difficult thing. If two people are running competing Kickstarter campaigns at the same time, sometimes your backers might see that and they would decide to decrease their pledge on yours and support someone else's, or vice versa. Right? So this checkout process in some ways is good. In other ways, if you have competing products, it might be a little bit of a difficult situation, right? So that's something to be aware of. But this will, first of all, give you an idea of the basic interface and the user flow on Kickstarter itself. Most people that are coming to the site, this is kind of the basic user flow that they're going to go through. The other user flow is if they're really attracted to a very particular category, right? So let's just say they're into the tech and the design world, right? The tech and the design world is something I cover a lot on my podcast, cover a lot in my different educational material, my courses, the one-on-one coaching calls. A lot of them are with tech and design products, right? People who are just thinking of ideas and prototyping. When someone comes to the tech and design, they're really excited and interested about that. As you'll notice, it kind of mimics, right, the homepage. So first of all, it goes to the featured project, which again has a bit of a staff elements there. Then you also have the ones that are recommended for you. This is based on your browser history, and you could scroll through that if you want to. And then as you scroll down, you begin to learn a little bit more about some of the updates. So here's like an example of one of the updates where Kickstarter itself teamed up with this particular Smithsonian Design Museum store. Okay, and then you scroll down more and you'll see other different design categories. So like toys, graphic design, interactive design, typography, right? These are the different design categories that people who are going to see when they're scrolling down and they're like, okay, what's happening on Kickstarter? If you fit into one of these categories, you might end up getting even a higher visibility than some of the other projects that are out there on Kickstarter. So it's not just about ranking overall in the actual platform. As well, it's about ranking well within your specific category, right? So again, we have fresh favorites. This is mimicking what's happening on their homepage. The ones that are taking off, same thing as trending, right? It's mimicking what's happening on their homepage. The ones that are in the final home stretch, again, contributing to the funding at the end of the campaign. You see how this is kind of repeating itself, their user interface here. And then they encourage you to go into the technology. And look, on the left, you can see the different breakdown of the different types of categories. So if you fit into one of these, you're naturally going to have a little bit more of a wider audience, as well as some of the cool stuff that's happening and different like trends and some of their blog posts, right? And then you get into the creators corner and stuff for creators, essentially. So this is something important because if you are, let's just say, in the film category, it's going to look a heck of a lot different for you based on the other projects that you're competing with. Think about it. If you are launching a campaign, you're going to be competing with other creators technically that are on Kickstarter. And there is some synergy. You know, people will support other projects and, they'll support multiple ones. So there is some synergy. But you are also in a little bit of a competition. You know, you're competing a bit for attention. If people look at the different fresh favorites and one of their thumbnails stands out, they're going to be a heck of a lot more likely, man, to click on your. I'm laughing at that image. I can't address that. They're going to be a heck of a lot more interested in supporting your project, obviously, if it's a bit more shocking in nature. If it's actually, this one really is capturing my attention right now, even in competition with some of these other ones here, right? This one is actually really cool. It looks like an animated short film. I kind of want to actually just check that out in a sec. But again, the home stretch, more to explore. It's the same user flow. So what you should take away from this is that if you are launching, you have a window of opportunity when it comes to new and fresh projects. Number two, within the categories, you can study the category, see the other projects that are launching, and I'll share with you a technique to do that in just a second. And you can compare yourself among some of these other different campaigns out there. So just want to take a really quick second to look at this one. Here's like, for example, this project, it said was blowing up. They had a very low goal, obviously. 3,000 backers so far, over 164,000 that's been pledged, all these stretch goals which have been unlocked, right? So this campaign is technically trending well within Kickstarter. However, we can see that they're beginning to fall off with their momentum a bit, which is very normal with a Kickstarter campaign, something we should plan for, and it goes beyond the scope of this video. Here's the other one. This one that was drawing my attention. They have 352 backers, almost have hit their goal. This is such a fun design. Really love this, and like the way they are introducing character here. So this is something I would actually back, like on my own personal time. I would very likely back a campaign like this just because it looks cool. It looks fun. I haven't even watched the video yet, right? So that being said, let's go back a little bit and let's talk about recently that are going to be launching soon projects. So under this Discover here. On the top left, I don't know if you can see what I did. On the top left, you can click Discover, and that's going to come up with recommended for you, projects we love, save projects trending, all of these different ones, right? As well as the different categories that are here, what's on their radar, on Kickstarter's radar. They obviously have some stuff, environmental, DIY, bikes, right? So there's a lot of stuff here. What the cool thing is to look at upcoming projects. This is a new section within Kickstarter. Now, why is this important? Why would anyone care about upcoming projects? Well, it's going to give you, remember I talked about the marketplace, right? The marketplace is what the other projects that you're competing against. You can actually look at the new projects that are coming to light, man, and you can see what is the competition looking like. So let's just go here. We're going to go to the technology category, right? Let's do the technology category. We'll do it on Earth, and we'll have it sorted. I guess we could do, right? We'll just stay with Magic Sort. We can see some of the other technology projects that are launching soon. So like One Clock, MicroPie. Look at this, Narwhal Mask. This was kind of a COVID thing. Spotlight, another mask product, right? So these two campaigns are going to be probably running at similar times. Like this one is in Singapore. This is the Toto Bobo mask, and this one over here is a Narwhal mask, which is from Baltimore. So these two are likely going to be running at somewhat similar times, I imagine. And what's going to happen is they're going to be competing for that audience to a degree. Now, it might not be exact competition, but as you can imagine, like I went through the user flow, what happens if someone supports this and then they see at the bottom after they've backed it, a recommendation for this campaign? Are they going to decide to change their pledge maybe? You know, these are just some things that you should think about. And if you're hiring a campaign manager or a coach like myself or someone to help you with this whole process, it's something that they should begin to think through a little bit. Or what are some of the other projects that are coming to light? So we went through a bunch of stuff here. I hope that this was helpful for you. The average Kickstarter backer is not going to go and like customize percentage raised and like goal amount. This is more for people that are like really interested in the niche. But for like the average person, they're mainly going to look at what's trending, what's just was freshly launched, what's ending soon, coming soon projects, what they see in the newsletter, what they get promoted to via social media. That's where most of these people are getting their information. I hope that shed a little bit of light on that for you. My name is Salvador Briggman. Give me a thumbs up on this video if you liked it. Follow me on Instagram under my name, Salvador Briggman. You can put that in. You'll probably find my Instagram there. And some of the bite-sized videos I have coming out with. Would love to have you grab a copy of the Kickstarter launch formula. Really end-to-end, step-by-step process for launching one of these things. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.